Hopefully, you guys are having yourself a good day. Welcome back to another Golden Hour episode. And today we're just going to talk about what's been happening in my life. The situation that happened today, to where I go to court for once again trying to get this divorce that I filed back in 2014 in February. So it is going on 2015. I'm sorry. It's going on 2 years that this has been going on. For those of you who don't know, I am legally married, and I got married 8 years ago at the age of, what was that, 21? So I was very young, very young, and very stupid. Very young and very stupid. Now, I end up getting married to a girl I worked with at Walgreens, and somebody I got to know a little bit, somebody I got to like and end up, loving. And I didn't even propose to her. She just took out a wedding ring one day, and she's like, so I picked this up. What do you think? I'm like, what are you talking? What, you want to get married? Now, my thing is, I badly just, this was my first ever relationship, and I badly just wanted to be with somebody, be loved. And at that time, she was saying all the right things and doing all the right things, and end up just falling in love, and end up was like, what, I get an opportunity to get some DSAM in my life. And DSAM is an acronym, man, for daily sex and meals. Are you kidding me? So me being the idiot that I was, I end up saying, let's go for it, man. I could see me being with you forever. And we go to City Hall, and we end up getting married that way. And that's it. Next thing you know, I'm married. And but the thing was, maybe 2 months into it, I come home one day and she left. I come home to a note, and her saying that she couldn't deal with it. She went back to her ex, and just ever since then, this woman has been up just, oh my goodness, man. Ever since then, this woman has been complete hell in my life. Um, we've gotten back together several times after her leaving. You know, I definitely did not do. Oh, okay, so here's the real story. So I met her at work, and I knew the person that she was in a relationship. She was in a relationship at the time. Now, I didn't know him. I knew of him, but I didn't know him. He wasn't somebody I would call a homeboy or something. I didn't know him, but I knew of him through one of my managers that was one of his friends. And I've met him a few times. We were in like the same fantasy league. I'd see him once a year when we go to fantasy football, and I'd see him. But other than that, like, I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know him. I knew of him, and I knew they were together. But she was, feeding me lies that I was believing, that they weren't together, and they basically just lived there. But he's doing his own thing, she's doing her own thing, and yada yada yada, and all this other stuff. So, that turned into a big thing, and apparently she told me the first time she left was because he threatened to kill me if she didn't leave, and she said that she left so I wouldn't get hurt. Come to find out, many years later, there was times where I was going to work, and she would meet up with him. It hurts to know that you've been cheated on. To sit there and know you give your all to somebody, and to sit there and know you have going on ahead and giving yourself up emotionally, physically, mentally, any other adjective you guys can think of, to this person. and to know that this person is your wife, not girlfriend, wife, but to know that, she's giving herself up to her ex, and it turned out that she was doing it to other people as well, and it was very, very, disturbing finding that out 7 years later. You know, her mother and I got along great. Because her mother knew the type of guy that I was. I'm the open the door for your daughter kind of guy. I'm, the kind of guy who's gonna sit there and treat her to the best of my ability. I wasn't raised, by any male figure. I was predominantly raised, by my mother, and through that, she has instilled in me how to treat a woman. Not saying that a father can't, or if you live with your mommy and dad can't either, but I've seen my mother get cheated on, and I've seen her break down, staying in the bed for 3 days, literally not leaving the bed for 3 days, losing 10 pounds from not leaving the bed. And I see my mom just crying and devastated, just world shattered. And it's like, I can't do that to somebody. Like, I can't be that kind of guy to go on ahead and put an innocent girl through that. That would go on ahead and devastate me, to know that I'm going to put somebody in so much pain, and so her mother loved me, it still does to this day. And, it just turns out that one day she just ended up telling me that she had a best friend, and her best friend used to pick her up all the time, who was a guy. And I felt uncomfortable because it was a guy, and as a guy, I know that I've been the quote unquote friend to some girls, and I just know, my God, if they gave me the chance to smash, I would. But I get, because they're not seeing me as that, but you best believe if I could, I would. So it turns out that she's had relations with that guy while we were together, and just a lot of crazy things. So the first time she ended up leaving, she was, she moved out, she was gone for a while. So here I am, 21, not even knowing anything about annulment, not even knowing that you can annul a marriage if it wasn't too long of a time. If it was just something that was very quick, you can get it annulled, and in the record book of history, legally, it's like it never even happened. I didn't know anything about that. All I know is I can't afford a divorce. I can't afford a lawyer to go to court. So I just let it be, and hope that the situation would just, somehow take care of itself, which is stupid to think. Then that's how I end up meeting Naomi back when I was that 21, 22. I ended up meeting her, and we got along great. I met her because she was the sister of my then manager when I worked for Walgreens, and I seen her come in one day, and I see this beautiful girl come in, and I'm just in awe, just jaw drop, like, oh my God, who is this beautiful girl who just came in? So I remember going to my manager Hector, and I'm like, you have to see the girl who just walked in. My God, she is gorgeous. And he like, that's my sister, man. So I'm like, word, yo, put me on, man. At this point, I'm still legally married, and she had a boyfriend, but I remember him telling me, he's like, you know what? I'm going to see what I can do. She has a boyfriend. We all hate him. He's a dirtbag to her, and she's very close to leaving him anyways. So we've been trying to get her to leave him, and I know exactly how you would be with her, because I'd sit there and I'd talk to Hector a lot about, situations and how I would, have handled things with a girl if I was with one. And, long story short, he ends up introducing me to her. We end up talking. Maybe like 2 months later, she ends up breaking up with her boyfriend, who nobody liked. And maybe 5-6 months after that, we begin dating and getting into a relationship. And at this time, everything is perfect, right? I'm with this girl who's beautiful, full blown like real heavy Puerto Rican, like accent sometimes messes up English words, which I think is so cute. Just real thick Puerto Rican, just thick as in the accent, and I just loved her, man. And but she had no idea that I was legally married. I thought that he would have mentioned that to her, but he did not. So one day I kind of mentioned it, and she was like, hold up, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm still married. I got to figure out how to get this divorce. And she's like, you're married? And I'm like, yeah. So that turned into a big thing because her parents were real, very, very overprotective. They are to this day still with her. And they find out, and they don't want her to have anything to do with me, even though they go on ahead and say how terrific I've been to her, how they don't have any issues with me. They know I've met them plenty of times. I'm very respectful, which I am. I know how to treat a lady with respect. God put nothing better on this world than a beautiful girl, man, and it's so hard finding one, but when you do, it changes your life, man. It is. I'm gonna get all into that in a bit. So they don't want her with nothing to do with me, and so she ends up calling me, letting me know that this just can't go on any longer. You're married, you didn't tell me, and my parents don't want me to be with you. And of course she's emotional. She's like, it has to end. I'm sorry. So I get emotional, and I'm just like, wow, I've been dating this girl for a few months and everything's been perfect. She's beautiful. She has the type of personality to where I can joke around, and she gets my personality. She makes me laugh all the time. She's goofy just like me. We can sit there and talk about absolutely anything. I remember we had a discussion saying that we could talk about anything. And we talked about a bottle of mayonnaise for about 40 minutes. Just mayonnaise, and literally had a conversation about mayonnaise, and was able to make each other laugh and with just stupid talk, and I now had to leave that. And here I am thinking, here's Elizabeth going, ruining my life, and she's not even a part of it anymore. She's messing up a relationship that she has nothing to do with, but because she's still involved, she's still having an impact on my life. So, Naomi calls me like 3 days later saying, you know what? I don't care whether my parents want me to be with you or not. I want to be with you. This is my life, and I know what I want, and I want us to be together. So I'm like, cool. So we end up getting back together, but I know like her family is real close together. Like, talking about one of those families on like Christmas, you got 40 people over the house. Every other weekend, just a random Sunday after church, everybody goes to the house for dinner, like real close, like a real big close family. And I felt bad knowing that she was, getting talked to, and, she was telling me how they would call her dumb, and how she's going to be with somebody who's married, and she's so stupid, and why doesn't she not be with me? And even though she was dealing with all that, I felt bad at the fact that she had to listen to that every single day. So I ended up calling her like, listen, okay, we really got to call it quits. I can't do this. I can't go to bed knowing every day you're going to sit there and verbally get abused every day just because you're still, with me. I can't, like, that's how much I felt like I loved her. They say, if you love something, you can let it go. And if it comes back, then it was meant to be. And at that point in time, I had to let it go. I couldn't be selfish. I couldn't sit there. I was 21, 22. I didn't have enough money to get a place together or get her out of that environment. And, she just had to deal with it. And Lord knows how long she was going to deal with it. I felt bad. I didn't want her to go through that. So just to avoid that, I went ahead and I didn't want to be selfish and put her through that. So I broke things off. Me and my then wife end up getting back together maybe a year down the road or something like that. And then she gets pregnant with my son Jaden. And we're together for the first 3 years, very rocky. At this time, she's still cheating on me with her quote unquote best friend, and I had no idea about it. I knew it, but it's like you don't want to believe it. You're in that situation, and you just don't want to believe it. At the end of the day, you just don't want to believe that is going on behind your back. I just didn't want to believe that was happening. So I refused to believe it, and I just sat there and took her for her alibi. I asked her friend, all he does is help her out, and yada yada yada. It was very easy to see, but it's like, okay, I'm not gonna believe it. Even though I know it's true, I'm just not gonna believe it. So we end up moving to Florida, and we moved out there because her mother moved out there, and her mother has a sickness, and she really needed somebody's help. And Elizabeth came to me one day and was like, listen, I know how you are with family. I've never moved away from my family ever. I'm very close with my mother, my brother, my sister, my family. I've never lived away from them. And here she goes. She wants to move to Florida to be close to her mother. So she wants me to leave everything that I know, my family. And she still has family out here too. So it's not like she's, staying out here, giving everything up for me, family-wise. All her family is here too, just her mother out there. And again, that's just the type of guy I am. I'm going to be supportive. I'm going to go on ahead and back her up. And she wants to go to Florida, and I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's move to Florida. And at this time, I just started to make enough on YouTube to where I could quit my job at Walgreens. So I thought then, and be a full-time YouTuber. So I ended up quitting. My last day was on Valentine's Day. I ended up leaving after that day in 2012, I believe. In 2012, I ended up quitting Valentine's Day 2012, and at the end of February, I ended up moving to Florida. She had already head out there so she can be with her mother and find a place, and when she found a place, I was able to move out there. So at the end of February, on March 1st, I move out there to Florida, and now we're living, in Florida with nobody there but her mother. And unfortunately, I loved Florida. The weather was amazing. We were in Orlando. We were close to everything. We went to Disney World, and it was beautiful, beautiful. Coming from Bridgeport, Connecticut, just Google Bridgeport, Connecticut. It's the ghetto. It's poverty. It's terrible. There's broken glass, and there's dog feces everywhere, and there's fights and shootings and stabbings, and all the schools in this city are rated 1 out of 10, and it's terrible over here. Going from here, going over there where the streets are clean, everybody just seems to be nice, and I'm just in love with the city, and it's just a different world out there. And but I just wasn't making enough anymore. I was making, before we moved out there, I get a few checks for like $2,000, and I'm like, I make about $1,600 a month at Walgreens. If I'm making $2,000 working and still posting, imagine if I had more time to post videos, I could make even more. So I want to go full time. What do you think? And at the time, I remember I was afraid to do it. And I remember I had a conversation with IMAV, and IMAV was like, listen, I know how you are for your family. If that is the only way, because I remember I was like, what if people just stop watching? If I'm posting more, what if they just get sick of it and they just don't want to deal with it? I don't know. I just don't know what to do. And I remember him telling me, listen, if that's the only means for you to make money, you're going to provide you're going to provide for your son. I remember like, what if I just get lazy? I just don't want to do it anymore. And he's like, listen, if doing videos is the only way your son gets food on the table, I know you, and I know you're going to go hard at it, and you're going to provide the best you can so your son can be comfortable. And after his talk for about 40 minutes, I went ahead that same day and, put in my 2 weeks. So we move out there and I go from making like $2,000 a month. And next thing you know, in like August, my check was like $800 just because I wasn't expecting the downtime of Madden. Once Madden season ends, views just go down dramatically. People are uninterested in Madden. Football season's been over. The game's been out. We're anticipating the new one. So views go all the way down. And here I am making $800 a month to the point where our rent was like $900. That couldn't even cover rent, let alone food, bills, and all that stuff. I remember I had to pawn my computer just so we could keep the lights on. Just a very tough situation, man. So we end up moving back and back to Connecticut because we couldn't afford to live there anymore. And we couldn't afford to live a place of our own again. So she had she ended up getting a small 1-bedroom place. And which I was, paying for because I was working, which, wasn't much, a couple hundred, like a small studio with her and my son. And I came back with my mother. And I was going to go back working to Walgreens. I called them and said, listen, can I go back? I can't get my old position because I finally worked my way up to manager. And I go on ahead and ask if I can, get that position back. He's like, oh, no, your position's gone. But you can come back maybe as a photo tech, and we'll see what we can do with your pay. But your old position is gone, so I was like, great. I'm gonna have to downgrade my position, but I need to provide, right? I want us to get a place together. At this point, I had no idea of her cheating on me all these years. So I'm like, okay, I'll see you on Friday. That Friday, I did not go in. I overslept. I missed it, and apparently she went into the store because her place was close to there. And she goes and she sees his name is Mr. Polino, and he's like, "Where is he? He was supposed to be here today. I think he wanted me to start working that day, and he's supposed to be here. I got people. I'm already short staffed, and I went ahead and I'm denying people applications, and I'm telling him that he can come in. Yada yada. Now she worked for Walgreens before, so she's like, "Well, why don't you hire me?" So he's like, okay, that's fine. I know you worked before. She's filled in a few days at that store. So she ends up calling me and is like, hey, guess what? I'm working. I'm like, what? What do you mean you're working? And she's like, I'm working. You were supposed to be there and you weren't. So, I asked if I can work and he said, yeah. So it's like, okay, how's this going to work? What about Jaden? And she's like, well, you just watch him and then I'll pick him back up when I'm going to go back to the place after work. And, once we save up enough money, we'll get a place. So it's like, okay, maybe 2 weeks into it, it turned into her dropping him off and picking him up, to her just not even picking him up anymore. He was just here for like a week straight, 2 weeks straight, 3 weeks straight. Now, I had a problem with this. Obviously, I didn't have a problem with, dealing with my son. He was 3 years old at the time. But I had a problem with being able to do both YouTube and deal with him. At this time, I had a very tough time balancing both. And I'm telling her, like, listen, you're preventing me from making, I'll be able to make more if I can do more. I'm going days without posting videos because I'm attending, to him, and I need some help. There's no way I can do videos with him, in the background, crying, making noise, or, just, I just don't want to put out a video with him. He's going to make noise. He's a kid, he's 3. So he's going to sit there and make some noise and bang on stuff. He's going to do what kids do. He's not going to understand me. Like, now I can tell him, listen, baby, I'm going to do a video. Do me a favor. Be quiet. I'll be done in about 10 minutes. And then when I'm done, you can go on ahead and turn your iPad up. And he's okay. I couldn't say that then. He's 3. So he was loud then, and I couldn't get videos done because it was interrupting the videos. And I was like, yo, you got to quit. You got to do something. Like, I can't do videos. And you trying to make money is making us less because I can't do what I need to do. And now we're both, the new Madden is out. And it's like, I can't do what I need to do. We're making less. because you want to work. Like, I need you to quit so you can take care of him, so I can focus on this and we can get a place sooner. And she's like, no, for the first time, I want to feel like I can provide for myself and yada, 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 all this other stuff. So, then that's when I started talking to her mother, and I found out about the cheating and the lies and all this stuff that happens. So, Jaden's, with me getting, now I'm raising him. Right now, she goes on ahead and she loses her job, and she has nowhere to go. At this point, we're not together, and she's wanting to get back together. And I told her, like, no, you had your opportunity. Like, no, there's no way. Um, and fast forward a long way, she ends up getting in a relationship, and I end up reoccurring things with Naomi. Now, randomly, out of the blue, Hector ends up coming, which is her brother, comes to my house randomly, knocks on the window. I go there, and he's there, and he comes to invite me to his daughter's birthday party. And he also, every time I see him, I always asks about his sister, because it sucked how things ended, like she was perfect for me. And but she was actually engaged the last time I heard. She had her own daughter. We both have kids now. She had her own kid, and she was engaged last time I heard. So just joking around, I had gotten Kevin Hart tickets when he came to Bridgeport, Connecticut. And there was at the time I was, remember when I got catfished, if you guys remember that story, I was trying the internet dating scene, and I was going to meet a girl for the first time, which her name was Vanessa. And I had got, when Kevin Hart came into town, I was like, hey, you want to go to Kevin Hart? That could be our first date. And she's like, oh, I'd love to. I was like, okay, well, my brother, and his girlfriend and my sister, her boyfriend is going, if you feel comfortable around my family. She's like, absolutely. No, like, I'll meet you there and we can go. And I remember joking around, like, hey, I got these Kevin Hart tickets. Maybe your sister will go. And every time I mentioned her while she was in her relationship, he always go, "Here, you're stupid." But this time he goes, "You know what? I will." And I'm like, "Whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean?" He's like, "She's single, right?" I'm like, "She's single? What the hell are you talking about? She's single?" "No, I didn't know." He's like, "Yeah, she left her fiance. Like, they had a big thing, and nobody really liked them, and they got into it, and she finally had enough, and she left them, and she's been single for about 4 or 5 months now." And I'm like, "What?" Yo, give her my number, please, for the love of God, give her my number. So he ends up giving her my number. We end up talking. It's like we picked up right where we left off. Our first conversation lasts 5 hours, and here we are again, just making each other laugh and just having a good time, enjoying each other's personality, and being able to enjoy each other's company with absolutely no problem. And here I am, just falling in love all over again. Within the first hour, I asked her to marry me. I'm like, "I've missed you. I haven't talked to you so long. Like, I want to marry you. Like, can you marry me?" And I remember Naomi was like, "You're so crazy. Like, what? Marry you? Like I haven't talked to you in years. The hell are you talking about?" So I'm like, "Yo, you're the one. This is destiny. This is destiny, man." And I remember her saying something like, "You got to go with your gut feeling, man." Talking about Elizabeth. I'm like, I had a gut feeling she was cheating on me, but I just didn't want to believe it. She's like, I remember verbatim, you got to go with your gut if you have a gut feeling. I was like, you know what? I got a gut feeling you and I are supposed to get married. Let's go ahead and get married. So, we start talking again, and things are going great. And she knows I'm still married at this time. Still married, still haven't gotten this situation taken care of. But when me and her talking, that February, a few months before, Hector had came to me and was like, "You're still married. Like, I know a lawyer. I'm going to take you to a lawyer." Literally took me to a lawyer's office, and I ended up putting the $5,000 down right then and there for the retainer. She gets served, and we got the divorce going right then and there. About 5-6 months later, I start talking to Naomi in August. And, from there we just start talking again, and little by little we end up getting into a relationship again. Now, this time it's obviously different. We're older now. Me and her parents still, her parents and I get along. They know the type of respect I have for their daughter. They know the type of person I am going to be for their daughter. And I love her, very much. And there's nothing I wouldn't do to see her smile, and I will always puts, whatever it is I can do to make her happy, even if it makes me unhappy. At the end of the day, you gotta, if you get yourself a good girl. This girl was by my side when I had nothing, when I was making $7 an hour at Walgreens. This girl was by my side, finding out that I was married, still wanted to be with me. This girl wanted, and I remember her telling me, listen, as long as I see you putting effort into getting a divorce, I will be with you. I love you and I want to be with you. Back then, and I remember us getting into an argument, which didn't happen often, but getting into an argument because I was so, frustrated, and I was kind of taking it out on her. And I remember telling her, you don't know what I'm dealing with, man. I'm dealing with this girl. I'm still married to this stupid ass girl. She's been causing me hell since the day I met her, and I'm still in this situation. I remember her. I'll never forget. I remember her, stopping me in my tracks, saying, "We're going through this together." And I remember her, and I felt that, the fact that, she is going to go on ahead and, just hold me down no matter what. Naomi's the type of girl who is like, she believes in me when I don't believe in myself. She's just amazing, and she is, if I could put together the perfect girl, she's better. I couldn't piece together the type of girl that Naomi is. If I had to sit down and write on paper the type of girl that I want, if I got that girl, if I wrote down every quality I wanted, it wouldn't add up to what she is, and so after 10 long years, I go to court today. Still, now we're battling alimony, right? We got the kid situation down. He's going to primarily live with me, and thank God I couldn't be without my son. I couldn't, and this is where we get emotional on back-to-back days. I couldn't be without my son. I could not. There's nothing in this world that means more to me than him. Growing up without a father, not having that male figure in my life to teach me how to shoot a basketball, teach me, how to talk to girls. There was nobody there to, watch sports with, and there was just nobody there. It was just my mother holding everything down, and going through life without a father. I feel like I turned out okay. Very respectful. I'll hold the door for people. I always say please and thank you. I always, go on ahead, and I'm just an extremely polite, respectful person because that's how I was raised. And I'm not going to sit there and look at that situation like I turned out okay. My son, little nigga don't need a dad. I'm good. If I'm good, he could be. I didn't look at the situation like that. I looked at it and as the opposite is, I know what it's like to be without a dad. I don't want to put him through that. So after, going to court, years and stuff like that, after we served her the papers, then she wants to go ahead and fight for custody. And while she was with her boyfriend, she never wanted to come see him. She never asked about him. She never called. Now all of a sudden she wants to try and see him and get custody and stuff like that. And which I knew was going to be an uphill battle because let's be honest, when you're dealing with a female, they mainly get majority of the custody when it comes with a child. But at this point, he's been living with me full time, 3 years. So I felt like I had a good chance, right? So turns out we work out where he's going to live primarily with me. He'll go with her every other weekend. And that's all I want. I just need him to live with me. I cannot be without this kid. You take this kid away from me, you might as well kill me. I cannot be without him. And so he's in my life primarily. Naomi is amazing with him. When I say amazing, I mean absolutely amazing with him. And it's, oh my goodness, it's amazing seeing how she is with him. It's amazing when I see somebody ask her, because we go to a lot of weddings, a lot of family events, a lot of things, and it's amazing when she introduced us, this is my fiance, this is our kids, she treats him like, he's hers, and I love that, man, and obviously that means a lot, considering, I was a single parent, and it's like, okay, if I be with somebody, I don't give a damn how I emotionally connect to them. they have to get along with my son. If not, I can't do it. I'm not going to put myself in a situation and leave my son, left out to dry, just because I want to be selfish, and she's doing everything okay for me, but she's not treating him. No, she has to treat him like that's his. She has a daughter, and I do the same for her. And so the last thing that was preventing this, everything going through, since we got the child situation worked out, she wants alimony. Of course, she wants to get money for nothing. One thing Elizabeth is great at is getting money for doing nothing. She knows how to work the system. She knows how to get state benefits. She knows how to, she's just great at being able to manipulate the system and have the system support her. Like her boyfriend went to Afghanistan for 18 months and ended up getting sent home with post-traumatic syndrome, or whatever, PST or whatever it's called. I'm not sure the term of it. So he's quote-unquote disabled, and not saying it's fraudulent or anything like that. I understand. Believe me, I get it. I get it. But he's quote-unquote disabled, so he doesn't work. So she receives payments to take care of him. Like, that has to be, her still legally being married and her getting money to be in a relationship. Like, she's like, yeah, I get paid, to take care of the veterans, and it turns out the veteran is her boyfriend, and anyways, she wants alimony. Of course, like I said, she wants something for nothing, and we go, and she's cohabitating, which means she's physically living with somebody. And my lawyer, at the beginning, once he found all this out, was, oh, she has no chance. Don't tell her, because she didn't get herself a lawyer. She was self-represented, but she was like, don't tell her. But that's it. That's what, because she can lie and, at the end of the day, say she's not living with him. But if she's living with him and she admits to living with him, that's it. Like, in this state, you can be a millionaire. And if she moves in with somebody working with McDonald's, it doesn't matter. She can't do that. So she ends up cohabitating, which is, pretty much very difficult for her to get alimony like that in general. But today we go to court, and it turns out, we had a mediator, and once the guy heard everything, he's like, I'll be honest, man, it's going to be an uphill battle. The judge is going to look at everything, and it'll be impossible. There's nothing preventing you from working. You can go on ahead and support yourself. She was asking for $400 a month for 2 years. And the guy was like, I don't see it happening. He was like, only thing at best I can maybe see $50 a week, but that's it. I don't see anything other than that. Like, and so it turned out, you do the math, it's about $2,600 a year for $50 a week, which is $2,000 a month. And we came to an agreement where I'm like, 'cause she's crying in front of him saying, I don't have an education. I need help with support. And, she's going, and he's asking me, okay, so what are your thoughts on it? What's your rebuttal? And I'm like, I don't think I should pay any alimony. Like, she's in a relationship. She's living with somebody. So I'm giving her money to support them so they can, like, no, I don't think that's right. And so she just starts crying, and the guy at the end was suggesting, like, it's going to be uphill. At most, I would suggest, if you guys can work things out, if you guys go to a judge, then the judge is going to recommend whatever. You can get nothing. The judge may give you some. I don't know. But I'm telling you, from my personal experience, it may be unlikely for you to get anything. But if you guys work something out here, you guys go on ahead and limit the chance of her getting nothing, or you limit the chance of you now working something out, instead of the judge saying, okay, he's going to now request you to pay, more than what you thought. So if you guys can work something out here where both of you guys are happy, you guys, it's a win-win, and you guys avoid that situation of going to court in front of the judge. And so it's like, okay, well, $50 a week. Okay, how about in December I give you a lump sum of $2,600 and we'll call it quits from there. She agreed, everything was signed, and we're good to go from there. So this Friday, I should be going to court, and I should be getting divorced, and I should be, for the first time in 10 years, a free man. I still have to deal with her, obviously, because I have a child with her, but she can no longer ruin my life in ways that she did previously just because both our names were written on a piece of paper. So today was a very big day for me. Me and Naomi can now, start looking towards the future. We couldn't, start, even though because I was told, the divorce is supposed to be happening soon, 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 soon. So I remember I asked her mother for a hand in marriage, and I got the permission because supposedly, the divorce was supposed to happen in like, soon from when I proposed. So I remember I proposed Christmas Eve, and I think, by like January we were supposed to be divorced, and it just didn't happen. Now we're 6-7 months later, but we couldn't plan anything. I've still been living with my mother for the past 3 years, because I'm still, married to her. And it's like, me and Naomi now, we want to get a house, we want to get married, we want to do things, but it's like you can't because we're still stuck with this girl, with Elizabeth. But now everything should, and I'm praying to God, should be over this Friday. We both agreed to alimony, we both agreed to the child custody. There's nothing more. That's it. Everything's done, and we should go Friday in front of the judge, and I should be free. And then I can now look to the girl who's been by my side when I had nothing. The girl who still wanted to be with me, even though I was married, and even though she knew she was going to have to deal with verbal hell from her family each and every single day, didn't matter. She still wanted to be with me. And I love her for that. And now I'm in a situation to where, even though I'm living in the ghetto, thanks to your guys' support, I'm now middle class. I'm now middle class, man. Thanks to the success I've had on YouTube and as a streamer, I'm now financially able to, be middle class, so we can go and get a house with a backyard and get a dog and, get a new car, and we can put our kids in good private schools and have the money to be able to put them in karate class and do things that we just couldn't do because we're still married with this girl. But now everything's going to be over, and now Naomi and I can start planning our wedding. Now I can, get married to this girl who's been beautiful inside and out. I can get married to this girl who has had my back since the day I've met her. I can get married to this girl who every single time I see her smile, my heart melts. It's still, every time I see this girl smile, I fall more in love with her. And to know that I'm getting closer to being able to wake up to her each and every single day, you guys have no idea. You guys have no idea. Now, I've never been drunk a day in my life. I've maybe drank less than 10 times in my life. I told my mother today, listen, I should be divorced Friday. I'm going to give you $300. Buy as much liquor as you can. Call over who you want. Call over the few people. Get my sister here. Have my brother here. Have, the close family that we usually get. We'll buy some food we could throw on the grill. We're celebrating. If I get divorced, we are celebrating. I plan on drinking a lot. I'm celebrating. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, man. Today was a good day, man. Today was a great day. And I'm praying that this last step happens on Friday and I can walk out of that courtroom no longer legally bind to this girl who has ruined my life since the day I met her.